Hi ladies, in this video we're going to go through questions 11 to 15 in 4A. So these questions all focus on GST. So you've probably heard of GST because you all buy goods, and GST just stands for Goods and Services Tax. So it's a tax the government places on goods and services. It's calculated at 10% of whatever the cost of the good or the service is. So if you bought a chocolate bar for $1.10, the chocolate bar is worth $1 and 10 cents is your tax. Sorry, just lost the word. So that's 10%. So 10% of $1 is 10. So 10 cents tax, $1.10 you would pay for the chocolate bar. Now on the screen you have the formulas you'll need to use to calculate problems involving GST. So you can see we're using 10 or 11 or 1.1. So that's just taking into account, so the 1.1 is just taking into account the 10%. Okay, so remember, if you've got a common ratio of 1.1, or you're multiplying something by a factor of 1.1, multiplying it by 1 is just multiplying it by itself, but multiplying it by 1.1 is multiplying it by itself and an extra 10%. Okay, so if you're wondering, why is it 1.1? All right, so just have a look at the first part of the equation. So first of all, we're looking at finding the cost with and without the GST. So if you want to find the cost with GST, you do the cost without GST times 1.1. So that basically just means if I wanted to work out the cost of my chocolate bar, I would do $1 times 1.1 would give me the cost with GST. If I wanted the cost without GST, you're just rearranging that formula basically. So it's the cost with GST divided by 1.1. Okay, so these formulas will be extremely helpful. Now, if you're wanting to just find the amount of GST, so we're not looking at how much we're going to pay, but just the amount of GST we're going to pay. The amount of GST is the cost without GST divided by 10. So that's basically the same as taking 10%. So my chocolate bar at $1, if I divide it by 10, gives me 10. Okay, so that means my amount of GST is 10 cents. If you want to find the amount of GST with, and you've already got GST added, okay, so buying the chocolate bar for $1.10, you divide it by 11. So $1.10 divided by 11 also gives you 10 cents. So just depends on whether you have the cost without GST or the cost with GST. So these four formulas we'll be using for questions 11 to 15. There's an example there. You can read it in your own time. I'm not going to go through it. All right, so question 11. Find the GST payable on each of the following. Give your answer correct to the nearest cent. Okay, so we know the GST is 10%. So you can take 10% of all these. The formula, though, is amount of GST equals the cost. Whoops, hold on. With, find the GST payable. Oh, we haven't paid GST yet. Without GST divided by 10. Okay, which is the same as taking 10%. So if you wanted to, you could also multiply it by 0.1. It's the same thing. Okay, so there's our rule. All right, so let's do question, sorry, question A, so $1.21. And we're just going to divide that by 10. So GST, sorry, I should write that. GST equals, did I say $1.21? $121.30 divided by 10. Now, when we're dividing something by 10, we just move our decimal place one spot, but you can just do it on your calculator if you want to. So $121.30 divided by 10, you should get $12.13. Now, if you wanted to work out the cost, then you can just add the GST onto $121.30, but we don't have to do that for this question. We're just calculating the GST. So let's move on to question B. So telephone bill, okay, is $67.55 divided by 10. Now remember, you can just move your decimal point, but if you aren't confident in doing that, you can just put it into your calculator. So we get $6.755. Now we don't usually leave dollars like that, or cents, sorry. So we got to round up to $1.76. Now it's important to know, girls, I know we don't deal with 1 and 2 cent coins, but this rounds to $6.76. So even if you went to, the supermarket and you bought something and they round it to the nearest 5, because we don't have 1 and 2 cent coins, you do have to include 1 and 2 cents. Well, you don't round it basically. All right. I was just trying to see if I had any space down below, but I don't. All right, we'll do C over here. A television set costing $980.50. So the GST. So we've got $985.50 divided by 10. Again, just moving your decimal place one spot. But if you're a bit unsure, you can just do it on your calculator. Okay, so the GST is $98.55. You will know that some items don't have GST. So like things like fresh food doesn't have GST. Okay, $395 divided by 10. Now your decimal point hasn't been put on there, but we can put it there on the end. And it's just moved one spot to here. So now we've got $39.50 is our GST. Okay, so just make sure you're rounding to to the nearest cent. So you've got 2 decimal places. Don't leave it as 0.5. You need 0.50. And in cases like B, 6.755, when you're rounding, you round, if it's 5 or above, you round up. So $6.76 for that one. All right, let's move on to question 12. So the following prices are without GST. Find the price after GST has been added to the following. So I'm going to just go back up to get my rule so we're consistent. The following prices are without. Find the price without. Okay, so we're finding the price. Let's go back up here. So we're using this formula here. Cost with GST. Okay, so we know the cost without GST. So we want the cost with GST. So we're going to be multiplying all of these by 1.1. So we want cost with GST equals the cost without GST times 1.1. Now, if you prefer to calculate the GST and then add it on, so you can do 10% of 139, which is $13.90, and then add it on. It's up to you. So cost with the GST, 139 times 1.1. And my calculator hasn't been working on my computer, so I'm just going to use my little handheld calculator. So we get $152.90, which is what you would get if you added $13.90 on as well. So the GST was $13.90. All right, question B, a bedroom suite worth $2,678. So the cost with GST equals 2,678 times 1.1. Do that on the calculator, 2,678 times 1.1. So it is 2,945 $80. So make sure you put the 0 on the end because it's 80 cents. All right, C, home video system. It's with GST. So we've got 9850 times 1.1. And if you worked in retail or in services, you would be using these formulas. I mean, most retail outlets like Safeway, gosh, are we in the 90s? Woolworths would be using, the cash register. So it does it for it. But I remember when I first bought my first car, when I was 17, GST had just come in. And yeah, so the guy was, a little bit confused about how to calculate it. And it's probably all done for them now anyway, but this is what you would do. 1395 times 1.1. I'll just put the answer there. So 1534.50. Now, just with C, if you can put 0.00 on the end, it's probably a good habit to get into also. All right, question 13. If a computer is advertised for $2,399 including GST, how much would the computer have cost without GST? So we want the cost without GST. So it's just equal to the cost with GST. Oh, handwriting's not too good this morning. Divided by 1.1. Now that formula is back up the top. So if I scroll up here, we want the cost without GST, so just this one here. Okay, so cost with GST, 2399 divide by 1.1. And we get 2180.91. Okay, so it was 909, so I round up 2.91. Okay, so that's what it was worth originally, and then with GST, it was $2,399. What was that, a computer? All right, what is the amount of GST that has been added if the price of a car is advertised at $39,990, including GST? So we want let me do it in different pink amount of GST. Okay, so this time we have got the price with GST. So if you're ever unsure, we can just go back up to our formulas. So we're looking for amount of GST. We have got the cost with GST, so we're going to be using this formula. So cost with GST divided by 11. Where are we? Cost with GST divided by 11. So that's equal to cost with GST is 39,990 divided by 11. And just put that on your calculator. Oops. So we get, oh gosh, this should be a 3. 3635.45. So we're just looking for the amount of GST, not the original cost. So $3,635.45. All right, moving on to the last question. The telephone bill is $318.97 after GST is added. What was the price before GST? So we want, what was the price before GST? So we want without GST. So we go back up. Okay, so we want the cost without GST is the cost with GST divided by 1.1. Okay, so cost without GST, so it's $318.97 divided by 1.1. So the original cost of the phone bill before GST was $289.97. How much GST was paid? So you can do this two ways. So the GST is just the difference between the two. Actually, you could do it a few ways. So $318.97, take away 289.97. So 318.97, take away that amount. So 28 point, now I get 997. So that's going to round to $29. Not 28.99, because that 7 will round everything up. So just be careful with that. You could take 10% of this amount. Okay, you'd get the same answer. Or you could divide 318.97 by 11. So it's another way of calculating it. So 3 ways you could have answered question B. All right, girls, I'm going to leave it there. Nice short video. Bye. What am I doing? I'm switching between two.